I was for 3 months in France, and that is when I explored the whole of Europe, about 12 countries within a span of 3 months, and all by myself.
Okay.
At a time, internet on mobile was not there, GPS was not there, WhatsApp was not there.
Oh wow.
International calls were very expensive, freaking expensive. And it's always best to build up your buffers. First and foremost, whatever is your salary, try to live below your means and make sure that you are saving a good chunk of it, so that you are habituated to living in that means. Then that chunk is also your emergency fund. Once you have your emergency fund in way, start investing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Dollar Diaries with us. Today we have an amazing guest, Jinal Sheth, who is the COO at Knots, an apparel group here in the MENA region. Welcome, Jinal.
Thank you for having me here today.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You started from computer engineering. You did your bachelor's in computer engineering. Then you did your MBA in finance and marketing in IIM. And then you did your MCIPS. So how's that transition? How did you pivot from computer engineering to procurement?
So computer engineering, I did it as my bachelor's. At that time, it was, after 10, 12, if you get good marks, it was very clear you have to go into science. Then in science, either engineering or medicine. I took engineering, became a computer engineering graduate. But all the while, I always wanted to be in business. And therefore, MBA was a natural progression for me. So from there, after working for about a year with Lehman Brothers, that was incidentally the time when it crashed as well. But then after that, in a year, I moved to IIM Lucknow to do my MBA in finance and marketing. After passing out from IIM Lucknow, I did corporate jobs. And thereafter, I moved to Dubai in 2017. And that's when I thought that, I had heard about CIPS and MCIPS, having a popularity and an important accreditation to be as a procurement professional.
Okay.
So I decided to take up MCIPS, which is level 6 of CIPS.
What got you into procurement? What got you intrigued into procurement, basically?
Incidentally, after my MBA, my first job was with Suzlon Energy. There I was in procurement controlling. Procurement controlling meant, kind of streamlining the procurement processes, ensuring the complete diligence and sanctity in the processes. And that is when I was also introduced to e-procurements, which is doing it via reverse auction. So the price reduction is like amazing within a short frame of time. And it's beneficial for both the vendors as well as the company, because the vendors get complete transparency of the process. They understand where do they stand, and they are able to have that reliability that the other person is not bluffing on the rate. So they're able to put their best foot forward.
So you're balancing quality and cost cutting at the same time.
And that's what kind of intrigued me, and I felt that yes, procurement is a very interesting field. Because you're bringing in so much of cost optimization to the organization. At the same time, you're also kind of interacting with so many external stakeholders who are contributing to the growth of the organization in various formats. In a way, also understanding and learning about different business models that are out there, what are their levers and what are their costs internally, so that you address the cost optimization in the right way and not a cost reduction, but a strategic partnership between the vendor and the organization. So that was something that kind of fascinated me out there. And then from there, when I moved to Acme Group, I took the e-procurements with me there. And finally, when I was with Landmark Group, before joining Knots, I again was into commercial division, and there I had the opportunity to optimize one of the very large project of freight, about 1100 plus negotiation points, that I had the opportunity to bring it onto reverse auction. And that is when I could see the real benefits.
That's quite interesting. It has so many parties involved. I can only imagine, the pressure and the stress that you have to go
Yes.
through with that. I'm going to pull you back a little bit to your past about your experience with Lehman Brothers. And so you technically joined them as a software developer,
Yes.
and there was a crash that happens 3 months after, which was known as the 2008 financial crisis.
Correct.
And for me, it's something that I've only heard about in movies. So I cannot even imagine the financial burden that it put on you. So what was it like for you? Just joined in, bright-eyed, new over there, and then there's a whole crisis happening. So what was it like for you in terms of your own finances? How did it change your perspective?
She was going
And
to crack a
just-
joke. What did you do in the company that led to the crash? Just I'm going to remind her.
So that's a
Yeah.
very interesting question. And I
Yeah.
think that was a very interesting experience for me as well. Because as a graduate, I had 5 offers out of college, including Lehman Brothers. There was another investment bank. There was a top consulting company and top 2 IT companies. Out of all these companies, I had chosen Lehman Brothers to join in as starting my career. I joined in. The first month was fantastic. Second month was fantastic, and the third month, Saturday, we all go home. No news, nothing. Monday, we arrive in the office and lo, company has filed for bankruptcy.
Oh,
It was a shock. And it was like, out of 5 companies, I choose one company and that company crashes in 3 months. What are the chances and,
Yeah.
what is happening? But that is also the time when I understood that a lot of companies are also known for its talent pool. So what I got to realize is as soon as the company filed for bankruptcy, there were so many other investment banks which, kind of literally set up interview centers.
So they would poach the Lehman
the
Brothers.
employees.
Yeah.
And within a span of, I think, 2 weeks, Nomura took us over. And we were, kind of retained, all of us. Like even I had got another opportunity by then. But we were all retained and we also got a retention bonus. Now just imagine a fresher out of the college, 3 months into the job, getting a retention bonus. So that was also an interesting, facet that, things can change at any point. It was a 150-year-old company. It, crashed suddenly without any prior intimation even to the employees, internal employees. So markets are uncertain, and a lot of things remain confidential the bigger the companies are. So definitely, you all always need to make yourself as a great talent pool, which would be, wanted by the other organizations. That is one thing that I learned there. Second is definitely in terms of your finances, everything. I think everyone should make sure that they do have their backups and savings, because if such a big company could crash and become bankrupt, you never know what can happen when to any
Yeah.
other company. So that is one important finance lesson that I learned. And third thing is, I think if you are a great talent, then people will want you, be it, any other organizations or even some other organization would want to have you. So that like Nomura took over Lehman Brothers. So that was a great, understanding and learning that it is very important to build up diverse skill sets and be, marketable.
when you talk about personal finances and savings, as Gen Z, I speak on behalf of both of us. We can be terrible at managing our own finances. So, do you have any tips when it comes to
Speak for
somebody
yourself.
somebody who has just graduated, and how do you start saving, especially in this current market scenario where you're just
Right.
and maybe even living in Dubai? How do you think
Correct.
that goes around?
I think one thing that is important early on is start saving, because we are living in very unpredictable times. We hear news of layoffs all around in IT, and there will be ripple effects, because never before has COVID happened, has wars happened, has AI come in such a big way, and whenever there are such developments, there are going to be massive changes in the market and the way things happen. So there in uncertainties and in uncertain times, you don't know what happens when, and it's always best to build up your buffers. So, first and foremost, whatever is your salary, try to live below your means, and, make sure that you are saving a good chunk of it, so that A, you are habituated to living in that means, and B, then that chunk is also your emergency fund in a way. Once you have your emergency fund in place, start investing. Maybe you start with FDs first because they are more reliable. Then you move on to other categories, and then you look at what are the diversification options. Basically, it could be an FD, then mutual fund or a stock market. From first you go to FD, second you go to mutual funds, third maybe you could go to stocks, fourth go to gold or commodities like that, and maybe at some later stage, when you have sufficient pool and you think you are in a stable stage, have some investment in real estate as well. So I think having that right kind of diversification across how you grow is an important factor to kind of shield yourself from the market uncertainties, and kind of tide through the different times that we will come across. And I mean, always better to save for the rainy day and be prepared.
So just touching upon that, if you don't mind just sharing your first experience with how much you saved, what did you invest in? You don't have to give us an exact number, just a bracket of what exactly did you invest in at first? What was your ROI? And then how did you expand from there?
I started getting my first income per se as a scholarship while I was in college, and that kind of funded my education. So that is when I started feeling that now I should be funding my things by myself and giving back to my parents. So my engineering was covered by my scholarships. As soon as I joined Lehman Brothers, I started saving, and I saved considerably. That first saving again got invested. For a small time, it was invested in stocks because I was kind of exploring the stock markets and how to operate a demat account and all of that. But eventually, the whole savings got invested into education, my MBA, and that's when I kind of did that. After MBA, I started with Suzlon, and at that time again I started savings. That was first larger part of the chunk was in FD. It would be a nominal interest rate of 4, 5 or 7%. I don't remember then, but that used to be there. But I used to consistently invest there to make sure. And then finally, that also kind of funded my marriage and all the expenses there. So, but I feel that, I feel proud that I have been able to, be self reliant and fund. Not that my parents ever asked for it, or, there was any kind of pressure, but just that, I have grown in a middle class setup where it was kind of taught to us that you have to save first.
Yeah.
So that came on very naturally during these times.
And when you talk about stocks, do you have any experience when it comes to the UAE stock market, and what do you think that's like?
I have not, I'll be honest, I've not invested in UAE stock markets as yet. Now I am not investing directly. I invest it through a fund manager who kind of, is actively monitoring the markets and looks at, what are the right shares to buy, when to buy, and, like that. It's a long-term strategy that the fund manager is kind of taking care of. What I do on my side is I regularly track the investments. So I make sure that I have one Excel which has, all the investments there, and, how are they doing are kind of monitored at a regular intervals.
Okay, that's quite helpful and very, very interesting for somebody who's just learning how to manage their own finances.
So how did you've spoken about a lot of the serious aspects of your lives, the job, stock markets. How did you what were your hobbies? How did you enjoy yourself? Like, have you ever traveled places?
Yes.
What was your outlet?
So I have had at different points of time passion on different things. Like about 10 years back, I had gone on a student exchange program to Toulouse Business School. There I was for 3 months in France. And that is when I explored the whole of Europe, about 12 countries within a span of 3 months,
20
and all by
countries. Wow.
myself.
Okay.
At a time when there was, no, internet on mobile was not there, GPS was not there, WhatsApp was not there,
Oh, wow.
and international calls were very expensive, freaking expensive. So it was a very interesting exercise then. Staying alone. Then, of course, we were on very tight budgets, low budgets, because I was a student there, and I was also very conservative with regards to spending, because I was also funding my education.
Yeah.
Some, and I had taken some, like my parents had paid for some part, which I wanted to always give it back. So I was like always very conscious about my spends there. So I used to do couch surfing. Couch surfing would be like,
How did that get? How did that get you out of your shell? Like,
so it was very interesting. Couch surfing is basically, you go and stay in a localite's house where you are staying in a complete, stranger's house, but who is a local for that particular country. And then they kind of take you around, you have meals with them and exchange the cultural nuances and all of that. So it was a very interesting and exciting experience, because, you don't get to know about the country in so much depth as a tourist as you get to being with a localite. At the same time, it was very pocket friendly.
okay.
And third, it was, very, I felt it safe, because I used to have, my calculated things. Like I would share the itinerary with my parents first. Second, I would make sure that, because I was a girl, so there are already a lot of concerns with regards to that. So I used to make sure that, wherever I'm going, I know at least two people, and it's pure girls accommodations that I'm going to. And I will make sure that I will land during the day, morning hours, so that, I'm kind of taking care of any kind of uncertainty or risk
Yeah.
there. And then I would go stay with them. They would show me around. We would have meals together. We would have cultural, exchanges, and definitely I would be gifting them something. So, it was a very interesting experience there. I think that is one thing which also taught me to how to travel on budget, how to, kind of save, because it literally cost me almost like very minimal. There was no lodging, boarding cost. There was no, eat out cost. Sightseeing used to be on walking tours,
Oh, wow.
where, we could give whatever we felt as right and whatever we could afford. So it was all very well planned. But at the same time, I think it was the most interesting experience, because the perspectives through which I saw would not have been possible as a tourist. When you are as a tourist, you are on a planned tour. The whatever tour guide will show you, you will go. And I have been there as
Yeah.
well. So I know a lot of time gets wasted.
That's
Yeah.
what people always say. Like, don't go and eat in the places that tourists go and eat. Go and eat in the places that the locals enjoy eating,
Yes.
because then only then you get to experience the good food.
Correct.
The true culture of the food.
Correct. At the same time, I must also tell you that it was not all positive. One of the trips I was in Spain, in Barcelona, I was on a fully filled train station. I was on an escalator, and I suddenly hear my bag zip getting opened.
Oh.
I am turning around, and I see that, there are two youngsters who are like, rushing ahead. I'm like, I shout, and they're help, help. And no one is ready to help,
Oh, wow.
In fact, those two guys are turning back and saying, why are you shouting at the station? I mean, they're like alligating me
Yeah.
after trying to steal from me. And I was like literally so scared. I just pulled my bag I was backpacking then. So I took the bag ahead, and I went to the nearest sitting area on the station. it was very stressful situation. Just imagine someone had just unzipped your bag, and now I'm afraid to open my own bag to check its belongings. If I have lost, my valuables, or they are still there. And in my bag at that time was my passport,
Oh.
my URL, and all my currency, which I had got for the Euro trip. Okay. Because, and why was all my currency with me then? Because in France, the doors, they don't have locks. So you have to carry all your valuables compulsorily with you. And there was a good end camera in the bag. So slowly I, kind of took it, and then I checked my bag. Fortunately, I had turned around at the right time for those guys to not have touched a thing. Otherwise, I would have been devastated, literally devastated. But that was also, it taught me a lesson that I should diversify my valuables, and I should keep a close watch on them or keep them with me. After that incident, I started wearing a jacket, small jacket, which was a 6-pocket jacket. And I would keep my valuables with me, on me, like a passport would be on one pocket, Ural pass, currency in another. And then on top of that, I would wear another jacket. Fortunately, it was winter there, so it used to be good. But it is important that, we diversify and we protect our valuables as much as possible, so that, they don't get any like this theft or anything can happen.
That's very
And-
clever of you, really. If I'm not wrong, you managed the entire Euro trip in 2 lakh rupees.
Yes.
And of course, that's not a lot considering, you have to manage your accommodation sometimes, travel around, see places, eat out. So how did you budget for that? How much did you keep for each? And, did you have maybe an emergency savings even at that time?
Yes.
So in case anything like this happens, how do you,
Right.
get back? What was your thought process? And, as somebody who's very young, I just want to hear your perspective and understand what it was like.
So the budget for that whole trip was, we had estimated to be around 3 lakhs plus, easily 3.5 something. And out of this 2 lakh, major of my spend was staying in France, because that was a compulsory rent that I had to pay anyways. And the, surrounding, like, eating, getting the food and all of that. Well, the other big spend was on the Ural pass. So that I had it. Apart from that, most of the other spends, like going to countries, seeing places, seeing the attractions and all of that. So country by country, before going, I would plan the itinerary that, okay, these are the cities to go in this country. Like say Switzerland, it is Geneva, Zurich, Interlaken, Bern, all of these places. Say 4 cities to cover. This is my, the path how I will go, and associated costs, like say this will be the, journey cost from year to year, all of that. And what would be the attractions there. So all of that would be budgeted by the, trips, all of it. So I will make sure that, I take into account, and I will, kind of carry all the funds with me.
So, just continuing on your work experience journey about how you moved from India to Dubai and what was your shift like? How did you budget for that? What were your dreams and aspirations? And what did you think you wanted to achieve when you just landed in Dubai?
So I moved to Dubai after marriage and, having a child. Naturally, I had to leave my job in India, which was quite a senior position of vice president strategy, which, I had achieved in a very short time, and kind of proving myself at the organization. Coming here, it was, kind of like restarting my life and my career all over again, because it was a new geography. So Indian, work experience was not as much valued. Everyone wanted to have a UAE experience. Everyone, there were a lot of positions which would require a driving license. So there were a lot of constraints out there, which were, then again, IIM in India is very, very valued and recognized. Whereas here it was, kind of an effort to prove it to the organizations that this is a, very premier organization, institution where, I have passed out from. Like in India, IIM would be so respected that, it would be fairly easy to get a job. Here, it took me some time to figure out how to get into the marketplace place or the job hunting, how to go about it, because the other thing was the traditional options of applying to the job portals and then wait for the interview call, or all of that would also not work. Then one fine day I called up my friend. I asked her, how do I get a job in Dubai? And that's when she told me. She completely empathized with me. She explained to me that here it takes time, it is an effort, so don't get disheartened, which is one very important thing I would also like to tell the fellow women out there on a job hunting spree, that it takes time. Second, meanwhile, you don't need to compromise on what you are getting, because there will be, I had an offer from some company which was paying me almost like lower than my Indian salary also. So there will be organizations who might want to, kind of have an opportunity out of you being a newbie in UAE and offering you like almost,
Peanuts.
much lesser than what you deserve. So don't get into that. Wait it out. Third thing is, kind of try to meet as many people as possible, network, and have an understanding of what organizations need, what are the roles in the organizations, and where do you fit in, so that you are able to pitch yourself better. Third is, whenever you are applying to a particular role, try to figure out that how to, kind of make yourself referable into that organization. Like if you have, anyone to kind of give you a reference in that organization, because organizations also prefer employees through an employee referral better compared to an external candidate, so that helps. And I think that was a journey which I had to go through before landing a job here in Landmark. I had, again, I was kind of given a slightly lower position than what I would have ideally, because of course, it was my first job in UAE. My child was small, so they also had concerns that maybe if I will be, staying on and all of that. But I think it worked out very well. I kind of made sure that yes, my child is taken care of. There is a proper daycare. My house is taken care of. My work is taken care of. All of that. I have a very supporting husband who's always been there as a partner, equal, always supporting me across my work life and the responsibilities at home. So that has always helped. So I think that is also one of the very important things, to have the right partner and have the right balance.
How was the job culture in India versus UAE?
In India, I will say typically a job will, like in the corporates specifically, the jobs can, it's kind of taken for granted that you will work longer, and then your day is typically exhausted traveling to and fro to work. So it will take anywhere like 1 to 2 hours a day, and then you are almost like done. So it is, full day work, next day again work, again work till you see a weekend. Here in UAE, one very good thing is that people do value work-life balance, and therefore, yes, there are work pressures. There are times when you will be working till maybe a midnight or something, but by and large, your day will end at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever are your timings, and you will find a way to have a work-life balance. That is one cultural difference that I see here.
Do you think tools like LinkedIn and, all the other job portals actually work here, or are they like complete waste? Because, you hear people saying that you need Vasta to get into whatever place that you want to get into. So what was your exact experience with each of the tools that you used and what finally worked out?
I think I will personally say that the tools have not worked for me per se. Um, LinkedIn, yes, it works. It works very well. Not from a job portals, from a job application point of view, yes, but also it helps to build the right visibility to the right people who could be the potential recruiters. Apart from that, Vasta not I mean, if you called it Vasta, I will not say that it is a Vasta per se, but
Referrals help.
Referral could be there. It is not
Yeah.
that someone who is joining a company
Yeah.
is coming without a merit.
Yeah.
Definitely there is a lot of merit. Process is shortened once you know that okay, this
Someone's
you know a particular candidate, and uh, the credibility is established.
Yeah.
So having that credibility part is very important.
Just talking about your work-life balance, because you do have a child. So how do you manage that? How much time do you spend with your child? What are some, even touching about the financial aspects, what are the financial tips that you give him from a young age itself, that were taught to you and you think are still relevant now?
I think for any working woman, the first and foremost thing to sort is, having the child doing well, and in the right direction, so that you are peaceful and are able to do better at both the places. So there, I feel first and foremost, I started with the positive motivation for my son. When he was like 5 years old, I used to tell him, you know what, who is the best? It's not the one who knows everything, but the one who knows how to learn everything. So that kind of channelized his learnings into kind of finding things and understanding things from scratch up. Then the second thing I do is, I think sports play a very important role in everyone's life, uh, because once you are physically active, that also kind of ignites your mind and make you more active and focused. So of late we started his morning practices, which he loves incredibly. So there used to be a time when I used to struggle getting him ready at 6:30 to go to school, and today at around 5:45 he's ready to go to school because of morning practice,
Oh wow.
and that has also increased his focus better. Third thing, financial literacy is very important. So we started some financial literacy classes for him, like when about 6 months back. So there are which kind of teaches, because the kids are very young and they are very excited about the money aspect. They want to know so much about it, and it's important to give it the right direction. So he's also learning about different elements of finances, right from your needs and wants to cryptocurrency to how are different organizations making money and how a marketplace works. So all of those aspects he's learning early on, so that he's able to kind of gear up and uh, understand the nuances in the right way. That is the intent of kind of putting him into this. And now as soon as he's going to turn 8, I am going to give him his first bank account as his
Oh.
birthday gift.
That's quite interesting.
And I also make him earn everything.
Yeah.
So any toy, any gift he has got, it is not that he gets a direct access to it. He has to do his things to kind of
Earn it.
earn it.
Do you think you had, maybe looking back at your 20s, you had a 5-year or a 10-year plan planned out and you followed it step by step, or were you like a person who said, let's just go with the flow and we'll figure it out? What kind of a person are you?
I'll be honest, at different points of time, I have had the intent to save and have had some certain plans or thoughts, but what actually happened was quite different. And I
You
think
just went with it.
this is what typically happens with most of the things in our lives. No one has a plan or a prediction that okay, maybe at this age I'm going to do this, at this age I'm going to do this, and that exactly happens. But it is always good to have some kind of a vision that yes, I want to get there, or I want to do that, so that you start channelizing your efforts in that direction. Maybe things, there could be different turns that could come in between, and it's absolutely okay. But you stop at those point of time, you stop, you take that turn, kind of say it's okay, it's all right, relax, and maybe at a next point you figure out what is the next best plan and make it out.
And what's your current 5-year plan, or let's say the next 3 years? What are your goals
Are
that
you
you just
are
want
you
to?
planning to have a side hustle, like sort of start a small business on the side, and you know
So
have multiple sources of
huh?
income?
One thing is, I feel that I want to write, and maybe I want to write a book in another 5 years. Uh, that is one goal. Second is definitely professionally, I want to expand the company and grow the company multifold. So that is there, and I have certain numbers and strategies, vision there, which I want to take it up there. And the other thing is also giving back. I feel like, as you grow, it's also important to give back to the community and the people. So, what I want to do is maybe start a, process or a system wherein, I could be like a mentor or offer some help to anyone who needs it across different areas, right from, be it a personal finance to professional help, career counseling, or parenting, or what, whatever area they feel that, it would be a right thing to, kind of talk or ask or anything. So I would want to do something of that sort.
So, can you tell us more about your new role at Knots? What's your current experience and what's your future aim and goal with the company?
So Knots is a brand that is providing uniforms and all the ancillary products to schools, colleges, and all the other sectors that are in the market. It's a very unique experience here, joining as a chief operating officer, where I will be having a 360-degree view of all the aspects of the business, right from the operations to the
Customer.
execution of the sales, to making sure that the sourcing is done rightly, and everything is kind of delivered end to end at the right point of time. Because here, unlike any other retail business, the opportunity window is very minimal, in terms of customer, because customers are fixed. They have a fixed set of uniforms that are needed, like the school uniforms. Just imagine that you were to go to a, you have a kid and you're going for a buying a uniform, and the sizes are not correct, or
Yeah,
the uniforms have not come. It's a
it
panic
can be a
situation.
nightmare.
It can be a nightmare, and the schools have to begin on time. So it's a very interesting solution, where we have to innovatively, work on our complete supply chain and logistics to ensure that 100% fulfillment is there every time for the students. At the same time, it is also a very interesting exercise on budgeting, inventory planning, to ensure that everything happens in a very lean and agile manner, and we do not overspend. At the same time, we are not kind of cutting the cost in a wrong way. So it's a very interesting aspect. The company has presence across UAE, Oman, Qatar, and India. And with me joining in, we are looking at further expansion of the organization. and growth of the organization. So I'm very excited about the growth phase.
That was quite inspiring, Jinal. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.